Doctor, thank you for your time, Dr. Bhattacharjee. You were actually seated by the accused in this case, Shankar Mishra. What happened when that flight took off? What did you make of him when you both were seated together when this flight took off? Especially in terms of how much he'd been drinking.
Well, he had 4 drinks over the period of 40-45 minutes of the lunchtime, and he was not, I'll say, drunk, but he was incoherent. So I went and I flagged it to the male steward. I said, just keep an eye. He had way too many because he's being repetitive. He's asking me the same questions. And I just flagged it, and then I went to sleep. When I woke up to him falling next to me, and I thought he lost his balance because it was a turbulent flight. I go, and then I see this horrific incident. I see this lady with a wet dress. I thought she had spilled a drink or anything. We tried, and she was very quiet, and she's a very dignified lady. She didn't shout, she didn't yell, and part of the reason why the entire aircraft was not aware of what was going on was, she was in a state of shock. And she didn't know what to do. Sarab, at the end of the day, it was not a happy story for anyone. I don't feel proud being an Indian to narrate it. You have a 70 plus lady whose dignity is being played on. You have, if you see the victim side, he's a young guy, lost his job. His family is going through hell. Tata Sons invested millions to give a facelift to Air India, and it doesn't help when things like this happen.
Absolutely. But perhaps, some lessons have to be learned from this, right? So first let me ask you, you said that you observed that he was incoherent and he had drunk in front of you 4 shots or servings of whiskey. You said you then flagged this with an Air India staff. What was the response you got, sir?
He just smiled. He thought, he didn't take it seriously. I said, because I fly enough to know, when a passenger, how a passenger behaves or not. I just said, keep an eye. And I hope he would be more diligent in his job.
So you're saying they didn't take your observation seriously. After that, did he ask for more liquor to be served? And was he served this?
I don't know, but I'm sure he must have had at least one more, because okay. I saw a glass. I saw a glass in between us. So from what you remember,
even though you had flagged this, he was not denied or told that, perhaps it's been enough or whatever. And then when this incident took place, after, the other horrifying fact here is that this lady has in her complaint said very clearly that she did not want to talk to this man after what happened to her. But it seems as if that the crew made them both sit face to face, and they had to reach an understanding. She basically felt forced into reaching an understanding with the other passenger. Is that what you observed, sir?
Yes. And Sarah, when I saw that happening, I kind of recused myself. And I said, as my moral stance, I'm going to do a written complaint. Whatever they are doing, let them do. Because I didn't like the fact that they made them sit across each other, because you cannot, when incidents like this happens, I think a previous guest said the norm is you don't bring the aggressor and the victim face to face. You put them apart. And that was happening. And I was the one advocating to give her a fresh seat. And they won't budge. I said, "Aapka 4 seat khali hai, ma'am, first mein. Aap de dijiye, business khali nahi hai." But for 20 minutes, first 15-20 minutes, she was sitting in the galley, and then they sprayed, they put multiple blankets on the same seat, and then made her sit there. And only after maybe 2 hours, they gave her a fresh seat.
Did you speak with her directly, sir?
Yes, I spoke to her in detail. I shared my coordinates, and in fact, the next day, her daughter called me and she said, we are going to write to the chairman of Tata. We are very angry, and she did thank me for standing up for her mother. And I did share the 2-page written complaint that I have given to the staff, which went nowhere. I don't think they even submitted it. But fortunately, I had taken a photo of the 2 pages that I had submitted. Again, it is all work avoidance. See, typically they should have reported it to the authorities, but they were already doing a flight after a 2-night layover in New York. It was a 15-hour flight, and as one of your guests earlier rightly said, and they just said, oh, we'll report it to the authority. It will be another 2 or 3 hour ordeal at the airport. Let's go home.
You felt it was inconvenient. According
Yes.
to you, you believe that perhaps it was just inconvenient for them and they wanted to wind up their shift. But so, your understanding, did they take this matter seriously? The fact that somebody
if they have taken the matter seriously, they should have reported an indecent exposure, which is a crime under IPC.
but even on the plane to tell a passenger that she has to go ahead and sit in a seat that has been soiled?
That shows lack of compassion, nothing else. Okay. She could be your mom, she could be my mom, she could be the pilot's mom, she could be anybody's mom. And at the, this is crisis management. And in crisis management, at times you ask permission, at times you do, and you say, I'm sorry, I had to do it. So that if you don't have accountability, you cannot take that judgment call.
All of the crew in this business class would have been senior crew, so they're not very young or fresh and should not have any issues with being able to take a call. Lastly, sir, when she was being made to sit and work out this agreement, you could see this, you could hear this, you could see that she was visibly distressed when she was forced to reach an agreement with the accused here? The man who had urinated on her?
Well, Shankar Mishra came back and he was holding a bag with her wet clothes. He said, "मैंने उनसे बात कर लिया है. I'm going to dry clean and send it back to her, and then I'm going to compensate her with some money." And when he said that, I was disgusted with the whole thing. And if you let me, I have the letter in front of me. I'll just write the last sentence what I wrote. I just said, I personally am bothered by the fact that the captain waited close to 2 hours before allotting her a fresh seat. The non-pilot crew went above and beyond to the call of duty to clean her. But when you have 4 first-class seats vacant, you don't make a distressed passenger go back to her seat with human remains and wait for a crew seat to be vacant. This is, in caps I wrote, poor judgment call by the captain, period.
Poor judgment call by the captain. Thank you so much, Dr. Bhattacharjee, for speaking with us and sharing your experience.
And Sarah, I'll just take 30 seconds of your time. The victim, in fact, in his WhatsApp status in one of the wrote a couple of days back that mistakes doesn't define us, it refines us. And I hope, it's a learning experience, and, we move on. And I come and
yes, I hope we can all learn from this. Each and every one of us, when we fly abroad, how to behave, not just abroad, fly on any flight, how to behave with our co-passengers and how to behave with crew and staff.
Because the Indian professionals, the Indian people in general are very highly regarded. Our workforce is very highly regarded globally. And it does not bring a good name to us when we are in a trajectory of being such a great nation.
It certainly hasn't reflected. It certainly has reflected quite poorly on India this whole week. Not just this Air India incident, but other incidents of unruly behavior in the skies. Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharjee.
Thank you very much. Good night.